What's going on, everyone? Ken from Lured Up here, and I'm super excited to announce a preview of the StadiumCast, a Go Stadium podcast that's coming to the Pokemon Professor Network next week. But in the meantime, enjoy these bonus episodes.
Talking about a very specific part of the Twilight Meta. With the new changes, there's been a huge rise in confusion users, as well as another star player within the meta called Golbat. So we're going to be comparing Venomoth, Dustox, and Golbat among each other within the Twilight meta. And with me today, we have Blandon from Elite Four TV and Tristan, aka Twastell. So welcome, guys. This is just off-the-cuff conversation. We'll be doing a little bit of just trash-talking each other's picks. And so what do you guys think? Of the three, what's your favorite to use so far in Twilight?
Venomoth.
Yeah, cheers for the invite, AJ. But yeah, I got to stick with Golbat. Like Golbat it just looks badass, and
I think you mean it looks bad.
Or ass.
All right. Okay, so it sounds like we've got the Veno school on the other side.
Yeah, I'm a Venomoth guy for sure. I like the confusion damage. I like how much it just decimates Toxicroak. But after getting steamrolled by Golbat, even with a team that has arguably 2 counters and a check multiple times, Golbat in the back can be very, very threatening to a Venomoth because Venomoth's charge moves, they're not enough to really hurt Golbat since it resists all of its charge moves. And it really relies on those fast attacks. So, like,
it depends.
What, Psychic?
Psychic.
Yeah, dude. If you're running Psychic, you think it's worth foregoing the Poison Fang if you have it?
So that's a tough one, and I've been going back and forth because I have a non-legacy with Silverwind and Psychic from the original Twilight, and then I've recently one with Poison Fang that I used in Jungle. In general, I think that the Poison Fang is better. It gives you that bait opportunity. It gives you some better matchups against like the fairy types. And so those are kind of the key things. And it's just faster if you need that little bit of damage. But Psychic does have some potential, especially if your Venomoth ends up late game. It gives you a nice nuke option against Golbat. And like you said, Golbat kind of tanks your charge moves, so most Golbats probably won't be shielding against you. And similarly, also for the Tentacruel matchup, where Tentacruel is able to tank your charge moves, but the Psychic is going to hit it real hard. So, in general, I think I would prefer the Poison Thing, but I have definitely, after some testing, kind of been thinking about it because I think there is some merit to Psychic. It has that kind of more nuke potential, and it's a little more unexpected. And so you might be more likely to sneak it through without a shield coming up.
Yeah, I do think the Poison Fang is probably more viable in Twilight just because, well, first of all, most of the scrims that I have done with you guys run Venomoth with Tyranitar. Or I don't know if I said that Pokemon right, but basically...
enough.
It's closer than me. Oh.
How would Mason say that one? We'll get back to
that. But yeah, like I see that with the Poison Fang, you are needing it to force the shields because Tyranitar... yeah, actually, I mean, it's interesting one, right? Because Tyranitar, if you can get to Stone Age, it's definitely going to force a shield. But if, and then also the Venomoth, if if the shields are down, then the psychic is definitely going to hit like a
Wait,
truckload.
against
But I
T-Tar?
think no, sorry, because the way you guys play it is you guys always pair it up with Cheetah.
A lot,
and
yeah.
Cheetah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I think if Cheetah is drawing the shields, then the sidekick would make sense because you can hit for a ton in the end. But I don't know, like when I play against Mason, when he uses Venomoth, he's really good with undertap, and like I had a really hard time running my Azumarill as a switch-in against him. You know, like it puts a ton of pressure because he's always trying to do that last undertap on the Poison Fang. It makes a huge
It really
difference
does.
because
Right. So that is
Yeah.
the main advantage of the Poison Fang, is it does a lot better against Azumarill and all the Charm users.
And if people
Yeah.
use their charge move like mid confusion, you basically get a free turn there or free
Yeah.
couple turns.
But yeah, both Venomoth or Dustox, since they're confusion users, you do really need to get well practiced with that undertap, because that makes them a lot more effective if you're able to squeeze in that last extra charge
I do
move
think
at the end.
Yeah, no, totally. I do think it's really important in the Twilight, the trio that you're playing is that there's always one like hard Azumarill counter, as well as like a soft counter for Azumarill. Like Azumarill, it's just so good, you know. Like in this
It
cup,
is. It's a beast.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's another conversation, but you know, like if a Skunk Tank is running Flamethrower and Sludge Bomb, it loses to Azumarill in the 2-shield scenario. So, but that's another conversation with Tristan. But
How dare you?
Don't
I
get
think
me
it's
started.
quite-
Don't get
How
me
dare you.
started.
How dare you? How dare you come on this podcast and slander like this on a topic that's not for today? How dare you?
yeah, I think the trio is you do need the Poison Fang because now you can bring a poison Pokemon as one of your hard counters for Azumarill, and then if you're in the situation where that Pokemon gets stuck, at least maybe you've drawn some shields, and then you're able to just farm up a little bit of energy with Venomoth or even Golbat for the Poison Fang to try and take out the
Right.
Azumarill.
But I guess if you're saying Azumarill's so good, that might be a slight point in favor of Venomoth, just because Venomoth isn't weak to that Ice Beam.
Or Dustox even.
Well, yeah, and
because
Dustox does have the best Azumarill matchup because it's tankier and it has that Sludge Bomb.
Yeah, for sure. Like the reason why, I mean, even with Golbat, it does win the 2-shield scenario against Azumarill.
Yeah, getting that last Poison Fang in before the Ice Beam comes out.
Yeah, so I think that is quite important. That's the advantage of Golbat, and I think also the fact that, like you guys mentioned, like Venomoth is not. The charge moves are not scary for Golbat, and if Golbat spams anything, you know, like you have to think twice whether to shield because you might just lose the Venomoth in one hit.
Right, because that Shadow Ball is really a nuke there.
Yeah.
Is there anything that resists both Poison Fang and Shadow Ball?
I mean, all the dark poisons and T-Tar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Personally, I ran Air Cutter because there was like 4 main matchup where it does more damage.
As opposed to
Shadow
Ball.
Yeah.
Shadow Ball's so nice to have, though. Shadow Ball just nukes stuff.
Yeah, I can actually just pull up some spreadsheets actually. Air Cutter.
I'm sure it does better against matches it's losing.
Yeah.
But, like, how much Does it win those matches? Does it flip those?
I mean, I'm sure it does better against Venusaur, but like you're already pretty stacked in that matchup.
What I like about Golbat is that, so like for example with Venomoth, a Mud Bomb still kind of hurts. I mean, I'm not saying by any means that Venomoth doesn't have a good matchup against Toxicroak, but those Mud Bombs, if they rack up, like if Venomoth is coming in with like low HP and like the Mud Bomb is already charged up, it's more likely that it'll kill the Venomoth than it is to kill the Golbat.
Right.
Golbat, yeah.
And Golbat just farms Toxicroak so hard, so Golbat can really upset a late match just from farming a Toxicroak and then just hitting whatever's left with the Shadow Ball or spamming Poison Fangs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, would you be happy to switch in your Venomoth to catch a Mud Bomb? You know, like I know I'm happy to do that all day with Golbat. Like if I'm in a bad situation, maybe I lead with Skunk Tank, the Dark Poison, and then I'm facing Toxicroak, and I'll happily catch that Mud Bomb.
Yeah, I think you're right in that sense that Golbat, exactly that. It helps with that shore up that Mud Bomb and Sludge Bomb resistance, which is what you're going to get from Toxicroak. And if the Toxicroak, for whatever really stupid reason, is running Dynamic Punch, then it resists that too. So
I mean, Venomoth is going to be resisting Sludge Bomb and double resisting the Dynamic Punch too. So it's really only the Mud Bomb.
Yeah, but it's the Mud Bomb that we're really concerned about.
But I guess the counter argument there is so like say you're making that switch to tank a Mud Bomb. Well, now you're switch locked, right? And if they swap in a T-Tar as Venomoth, that Silverwind can one-shot T-Tar. So you're either getting a shield or you're getting a KO. And Golbat doesn't have that same threat against T-Tar.
Yeah, like I totally understand where you're coming from as well. Like I did think about that. That's like one massive advantage of Venomoth because you're at least putting up that shield pressure against Tita where Golbat would just fall. But what I see with that lineup is like, let's say you were playing potentially. I mean, yeah, if you're catching the Mud Bomb with. And like you wouldn't play T-Tar with Toxicroak though, so I don't know if we're playing like the right scenario out. Would you play Toxicroak and T-Tar in the same line, knowing that?
I haven't been playing Toxicroak that much at all.
I mean, why wouldn't you play T-Tar and Toxicroak? The main threat would be what, Charm User?
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, like I don't know. I haven't played anyone that played T-Tar and Toxic yet. Maybe I haven't had.
Oh really? I have seen that quite a bit actually.
It's a decent pairing. I mean, there's better pairings, but it's not a bad pairing. The main thing I think it's really afraid of is a Charm User, which obviously your Golbat or Venomoth would be there for. But. Yeah, I have.
But even with Venomoth and Golbat, like they're resisting Charm, but they are also kind of frail. So,
but you can play that matchup out in your head. Like let's say I swap into Golbat and T-Tar comes out, and whatever I have for like that finishes off T-Tar, the two Pokemon in the back, and I like the reason why I considered Sableye I was thinking, okay, like if I can lock in that T-Tar. What would be at the back? Would those two Pokemon at the back be weak against Sableye? And chances are they would be weak against Sableye. Like you think about what you would play with Tyranitar in that situation. We've got maybe like Haunter, Tyranitar, and Venomoth. So Haunter and Venomoth would be weak against T-Tar. Have you guys seen Toxicroak as well with T-Tar? And maybe as Venomoth in the back. So if you can switch lock the Tyranitar, the back is Toxicroak and and Venomoth, they both go down to Sableye.
Yeah.
But
Sableye
that's
just,
slightly off topic.
you know, like, yeah. So you think Golbat shores up the matchup against Sableye? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, actually,
Or it pairs up better with your Sableye strat?
yeah, I would say, yeah. Like, I mean, because like I'm just trying to think, like the core for me, I think the meta is going to look like either Venomoth, Golbat with Azumarill, and then you've got one of the Dark Poison. So like that's your starting three. And I feel the Golbat just fits so well with the Azumarill and the Skuntank.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the Dark Poison, Azumarill, and Golbat or Venomoth, they all pair really well, and they're kind of interchangeable. Have you messed around with the doubling up in that category, Golbat and Venomoth?
No, not yet, not personally, but
I have today, and
how was that?
it was good. It was interesting, but in fairness, the guy didn't have a T-Tar, so like that. Let's take that with a grain of
Hey,
salt.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
my
I can hear you now.
internet died, and so I got disconnected.
You gave it a little resuscitation.
No, I just went on data instead. But,
okay, that works too.
Yeah, so in terms of doubling up, I missed a little what you guys said, but I feel like if you're gonna double up on like Toxicroak counters, I like doubling with like say Frostlass instead. Obviously you don't have that poison typing for the fairies, but I have like the different look that Frostlass gives you, in addition to either Venomoth or Golbat or Dustox.
Yeah, I don't know. I really liked Frostlass the first time around, but it definitely does need shields. And, when you start pairing it up with... Because, like, Golbat in the matchups that it does really well against, it doesn't really need shields. Azumarill definitely doesn't need shields, so you can kind of, like, manage those shields accordingly and really just, like, throw them up all on like a Venomoth at the beginning, or you could just keep the whatever T-Tar at the end, whatever you end up running. But Frostlass, I don't know. Like I've found that the first time around, I used it a lot for like safe switch kind of thing, or even like a decent lead. But I end up spending more shields than I want to. And if I don't spend those shields, it does almost no damage because those fast move is basically doing nothing.
Yeah, like I was having trouble with Frostlass. Like I was just, like trying a new line, and I was using a Lowland Muck, and like I had a bit of trouble with Frostlass. But then when I switched back to Skuntank, Skuntank Azumarill as a duel, like the Frostlass wasn't much of a threat anymore, just because the crunch, you get to the crunch quite quickly, and you would definitely win that 2-shield matchup.
Right. If you're running crunch.
Yeah. Hey, I've got recordings of this guy called Squawk. I don't even know how to say that word. Squawk Dirty.
Never heard of him.
Talk Meat.
Sounds like a really.
I've got a recording of this guy using a crunch Skuntank. So if you guys need to see that live, happy to send you guys a link.
A crunch Skuntank. I don't know. When did you record this?
A couple of days ago, actually.
You know what? I don't even remember what moves I have on my Skuntank since we're talking about it. Oh, I have Crunch Flamethrower. I changed it a while back because what was I running it against? It was some kind of like freestyle or draft
Yeah,
Something
I
weird.
have mine with Crunch only because I TM'd it for that draft stream we did. And I
Yeah.
didn't have a need for Sludge Bomb because I had an Azumarill myself. And so the Crunch coverage was more important. And then I'm low on TM, so I haven't bothered swapping it back yet because I might not even run it. But that's a different discussion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like Frostlass for the slightly different coverage it has, where it does a bit better against dark poisons than Venomoth and Golbat, and it also picks up wins against Venomoth and Golbat. So
Yep, that's true.
Yeah,
But
no, Frostlass is definitely tons of fun to play as well.
but here's the thing: Frostlass against Golbat is kind of like Golbat against Azumarill. Like on paper, you'd say, okay, Golbat has the upper hand, but if an Ice Beam lands on Golbat, it really sucks. If a Shadow Ball lands on Frostlass, it really sucks. You just don't want to be taking any of those moves.
oh, definitely.
And
But I
so
mean, those avalanches come out so quickly and are
they
super
do,
effective
but
as well.
But if you're coming in a switch-in, like Wing Attack charges decently fast enough, so he's gonna have energy on you. I mean, I had this same matchup against Blandon. Weren't you steamrolling me just the other day with this Frostlass against Golbat matchup? Was it you or Bella? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like I think you were like testing out different lines, so give you some credit there. So, but yeah, like
He's being
I
modest.
was just
He
switching.
destroyed me.
I was just switching in Golbat, like if I was in a bad lead situation, and then yeah, I think you would sometimes switch in to Frostlass. I guess it would give you a bit of shield pressure there, because this is like, well, if you don't shield, it could KO you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so but I mean, if we look at some of the main matchup differences for Golbat and Venomoth,
And Dustox, the
and
redheaded
Dustox,
stepchild of this discussion.
I actually haven't done my homework on Dustox, but I've got I probably do some tonight on Dustox.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like, I mean, in terms of total wins, Golbat does have a slight upper hand against 36 of the meta that I chose with the group with some other guys. But basically, it looks like Azumarill, I think that's a very key matchup that Golbat has in the two-shield scenario. That is worth noting. In terms of, let's see.
I have a couple here. So Dustox has the best Azumarill matchup of the three. That's kind of the main selling point because of that Sludge Bomb. And it's just a little bit tankier, so it can kind of tank some hits a little better. But it does lose to Golbat, I believe. I think because it's on the bulkier side, the Confusion isn't doing as much damage. And then within the concentrated meta, Golbat beats Alolan Muck, which is kind of the main selling point for Golbat. And then Venomoth beats Golbat, has that Silverwind threat to Tyranitar. And then the Legacy Venomoth with Poison Fang also picks up the one shield Charm Togekiss matchup. Cleaner wins against Wigglytuff and Clefable. So I'm not sure what you were simming against, because I'm curious like what additional wins you're having Golbat pick up, because it seems like against like the very concentrated meta of what most people are really looking at, it seems to me like Venomoth picks up a few additional wins over Golbat.
Yeah, I do see Venomoth being a very useful scenario when it's stuck in Tyranitar. Golbat has, again, like that 2-shield Azumarill. I think that's very important because you can, like, let's say if you've got perfect coverage in the back, I think forcing that switch advantage is quite important in the worst case scenario. And then you also have, let's see, the Dark Poison scenarios, the Dark Poison matchups. So in Golbat actually has 1 shield and 2 shield against Skuntank and also Alolan Muck, whereas Venomoth can only win the 2 shield scenario against Alolan Muck, which I know those two will be very common Dark Poison that you'll see in the Twilight for sure. But I do like the fact that Venomoth has the Quillfish, like, hands down. Like, that's an easy matchup for Venomoth, whereas Golbat just has to shield bait to actually win
against Quillfish. Now, are you running Air Cutter on your lowly Golbat?
So at the moment, I'm looking at Shadow Ball Sims.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure apples to apples here.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, so why Air Cutter? Explain this to me.
Yeah, like I really have to write it down, but I remember when I first did the first Twilight, I just saw it on Reddit. Like, someone just came up with a post, and then I just started doing the Sims myself. And it was like, so basically, if like a dying breath for Golbat, a lot of the time, they might come in with something that resists the Shadow Ball. And then the Air Cutter actually does more damage in most of those scenarios. Against the Dark, I remember it was the Dark Poison. I remember like doing more damage even in the super effective scenarios because of even though it's such a crap move, but I think the stab damage actually makes it slightly superior in some scenarios.
Well, I mean, Poison Fang and Air Cutter are both pretty trashy moves.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
And the fact that Golbat is doing so well, and honestly, Venomoth with such a bad charge move, it really does speak to the mon itself, and like the typing, especially that it has within this meta, is very unique. And like Crobat, arguably should be doing better, but because it has Air Slash and it charges slower, it's a superior on paper. Sludge Bomb is not enough to shore up the matches that Golbat rakes in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just tons of pressure, right? That Poison Fang, definitely.
I think if there's a category to double up on this time around, it's not the Dark Poisons. I think it's the hard counters to Toxicroak, because they have nuance to them. And I don't know, like, if an opponent doesn't bring a T-Tar, it's suddenly like kind of appealing to bring both of them in some lineups,
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, in that scenario, I almost think that's why I think the Sableye has a place still, just because, if there's no T-Tar and Charm, I don't know how much Charm users will be played in this new meta. Like, are we going to see it on every roster, or was it like Jungle Cup where oh my gosh, Charm, and then the winning lines don't even have Charm users?
Have you been messing around with Charm users at all, or?
I haven't found any like lines that I really like yet. I've been trying to use Wigglytuff. I mean, I love to try the Togekiss and sort of run the lines that Mason were running. Those were very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, Wiggly, not yet. Haven't found anything that's like, oh my gosh, this is a very solid line.
Yeah, I'm not convinced on any Charm user just yet. Togekiss is interesting, but I also take the matchups with Mason with a grain of salt because he's also just a really solid player. So, I don't know. Togekiss, those ancient powers are good. If you're able to get the boost, it's amazing. That Charm unshielded damage at a boost is Yikes. Yeah, you don't want to be up against that.
Yeah. Speaking of Togekiss, it actually has the 2 shield matchup against Venomoth.
Yep, I can see that.
Mm.
Yeah. Because Confusion is, well, it's the ancient powers are charging fast enough that it shores that up, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess personal preference, eh?
Yeah, I
Comes
mean,
down to
bottom line, these 3 Mon are solid. If I have to summarize, Venomoth has the really solid Silver Wind against the Dark types, namely T-Tar. It just basically one-shots it. And then also Umbreon. It does help against Umbreon too. I'd say Dustox has the best matchup against Azumarill, thanks to Sludge Bomb, and it is bulkier, but it's doing slightly less damage with its Confusion as opposed to Venomoth. So those clutch switch-ins against a Toxicroak mid-counter with a Venomoth, and you just take it out before it's able to even switch out, that's awesome with Venomoth. So it's a little less likely with Dustox. And then,
Hey guys, can you hear me again?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I keep getting dropped. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, maybe it's because you're from Seattle.
Could be.
Probably. And then Golbat. I mean, Golbat just basically gets to farm Toxicroak, even if it has a lot of energy coming in. It's not afraid of Mud Bombs. It can definitely switch into a Mud Bomb very easily. And it laughs at any of its charge moves. That said, it does better against Venomoth, I think, at least in my experience, like shields down, unless Venomoth has Psychic. Those Venomoth with a lot of energy are kind of a force to be reckoned with. So, like, if you get in a situation where you just finished up the Toxicroak and with your Venomoth, and then Golbat comes in, so you kind of have all this energy and you're tempted to use it, but in reality, your Confusion damage is what you really want to be doing anyway.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, when I see a Venomoth, like I just want to chip down a little bit of health on it before I bring in the Golbat, and usually I would have that match.
Yeah, I agree, and it's tempting to stay because you know that you can still do a lot against that Golbat. But yeah, no, I agree, but that's the risk, It's like Golbat, Venomoth will get hard countered by what does Venomoth get hard countered by? What's a good example? I mean, T-Tar, but, of course, Silver Wind still hits really, really hard. But Golbat
That's the thing is, I don't
gets
know
hard
if
countered.
I don't know if Venomoth has that many hard counters. Because a lot of the best Venomoth counters are like T-Tar, the Dark Poison's Umbreon, and those all don't really want to take a Silver Wind. I guess Frostlass is probably one of the better Venomoth counters because it resists Poison Fang and Silver Wind. But even then, Frostlass is a little on the glassy side, so it doesn't exactly love taking Confusion damage.
Yeah. It leads us to Confusion Gardevoir. Quite hard.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Confusion Gardevoir and probably like Mr. Mime if anyone's running that.
And I think the Bite Drapion as well.
Yeah, you don't want to be you don't want to be caught against a Bite Drapion with a Venomoth because it's just doing so much damage.
Right, but how does Golbat do against Bite Drapion? I doubt it does much better.
No, it doesn't really.
One thing I wanted to mention though was Blandon was saying, this is before I got disconnected. Blandon was talking about how Golbat has the 2 shield Azumarill matchup, and Venomoth can win the 2 shield Azumarill matchup. There's some break and bulk points involved there, where I know for sure it looks like if Venomoth can hit a Confusion breakpoint, it should be able to win. And then I'm not sure if the bubble bulk point matters or not. But so obviously Golbat has a cleaner win there, it seems like. But Venomoth is still potentially able to win that depending on IVs.
Yeah. Well, it's a conundrum, and I think it's a heated debate. And what I love so much about Twilight is that there's so many of these debates. We're gonna have one soon with Skuntank, and I'm just so excited to roast you with your crunch move. Even if I end up using it myself, I might, subject to change. But it's just so much fun to get into these like nuanced matchups and. Like even with Golbat, like we're not even mentioning Ominous Wind, but I'm sure there's matchups where you'd really enjoy having Ominous Wind, and like we crapped a lot on like Charge Beam Lantern and Tempest, for example. But then like being up against it when you have your Water Gun Lantern wasn't a whole lot of fun. So I'm sure being up against a boosted Ominous Wind Golbat won't be a whole lot of fun if after we're done crapping about it on streams.
Did you guys mention the Silver Wind boost potential on Venomoth?
I don't think we did.
Because that's another factor. You obviously never want to count on a boost, but having that boost potential. If you get lucky, can really turn the tide of a match.
For sure. Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap this up. Thanks you guys for joining us. This has been really fun. We're going to do more of these in the future and just keep them short and sweet. Thanks again.
Cheers, guys.